Yo, 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 what is going on? It is the Crazy Writer right here, right now, back with chapter 26 of my Invaders in fan fiction. Oh, we are back with the, juicy stuff this chapter, if you couldn't tell. Yes, we are. And it gets oh so sweet and juicy, yes it does. I hope that you're ready and that you have sat back, relaxed, and are prepared to enjoy it all. Right here, right now. Chapter 26. Listen up. I was awoken by the spray of soda in my face. I looked up to see Gaz holding a can of poop soda and glaring. "You two are hogging the couch," she said, annoyed. My head was still on Dib's lap, and his hand had been resting on my shoulder. We were both asleep until Gaz woke us, and I sat up to see Dib looking just as surprised as I was. I jumped off the couch, and Dib got up as well. Gaz took her seat on the couch and turned on the television. "No wonder Dad thinks you two are a thing," Gaz said while sipping her drink. Dib and I both darted towards the kitchen, and Gaz shouted over her shoulder, "I made bacon for your dumb faces." Indeed, there was a pan with 4 strips of bacon that Dib gave me 2 of. "That was something last night, huh?" Dib finally asked when he took his seat with a bowl of cereal, and I sat on the floor next to his chair. "Yes," I agreed with a yawn. "How could someone think they Chicken Man?" "And go all that time without taking a single shower," Dib continued. "Wow, that guy stunk." "Mm-hmm," I nodded. "Apartment horrible." "Hey," Dib said with a spoon halfway to his mouth. He looked down at me with a somewhat furrowed brow. "That reminds me, we have a conversation to finish. A conversation about why you won't move in with us." I grinned awkwardly. "Now?" "Yes, now," Dib told me. "You won't move in because of Zim." I narrowed my eyes slightly. Not just Zim. I've been with no family long time now. For me suddenly be part of family? You don't have anything to worry about, Liz," Dib reassured. I shook my head. "Dib, I still not know exactly what I am. I wolf, but I girl. You not know what that like. No one know. Except Chickenfoot. He knew." "You're smarter than he is, Liz," Dib told me calmly. "We'll help you figure out what you are." "I'll help you. You know, in our house you're welcome to behave like a wolf as much as you like because we know how important it is to you." "Zim lets me behave like a wolf as well. We're both fish out of water in this human environment. Dib realizes the importance of my behavior, but I don't think he quite understands it as well as I'd like him to. Not as well as Zim does, anyway." "I'm just not ready for this," I told Dib grimly. "You'd rather continue living in that pigsty with those people that don't even care about you?" Dib asked. "Liz, I will protect you here. I will protect you with my life if I have to." Dib stood to his feet, and I took a step back at the sudden movement. "I'll protect you from stupid little green aliens and from ghosts and vampires. I'll protect you from anything and everything this universe throws because I—" Dib stopped himself, and there was a long pause before I broke it. "Joining family mean I accept me in human society. Mean I never go back to pack. I'm not ready for that commitment." "I'd hoped you wouldn't need to go back to the pack again," Dib sighed. "But I guess I'm not going to convince you anytime soon. Of course, you know our door will always be open to you, Liz. I hope you'll see this as your home too someday." I smiled and lifted my front paws to land on Dib's chest. I gave him a lick on the cheek, and he smiled at that. "Thank you, Dib." I lowered myself back to 4 paws. As Dib was wiping his cheek with his sleeve and sitting back in his chair, my wrist began buzzing. Dib's smile vanished in half a second and was replaced with a deep frown. I answered the watch to see Zim looking very irritated. Wolf monster! Zim shouted. Where have you been? I've been trying to contact you all night. It was an emergency, you know. Sorry, Zim, I apologized. I shut off watch at hospital. It interfered with medical equipment. Hospital? Zim repeated with worry. What happened? Are you hurt? Hospital not for me, I chuckled. Dib and I had take care of friend. Dib widened his eyes a little at the mention of his name, and Zim's narrowed at the same time for the same reason. I see. Well, not that you'd care, but there was an emergency with Gur, but it's all taken care of now. What happened with Gur? I asked. Before Zim could answer, Dib stepped in with that taunting voice. What's wrong, Zim? Can't get control of your dumb little robot? You're still there with him? Zim screamed. I thought you weren't moving in with that filthy giant-headed little... Actually, I interrupted, I just leaving. Bye, Dib. See you tomorrow. As I ran for the door, Dib waved after me with disappointment. Yeah, see you at school, Liz. Bye, Gaz, I barked as I ran past her. Whatever, she said simply. I ran out the front door and down the block a ways before looking back at my wrist. Sorry, Zim, I repeated my apology. I just told him I'm not moving in. I come over right away. I shut off the watch and ran home. I mean to Zim's house, where Zim opened the door at my arrival. It took you that long to tell him you weren't moving in? Zim asked after I entered the house. We talked about this last week. Why did you wait until now to tell the stinkhuman no? I had to think right way tell him, I told Zim with a shrug. Perhaps it should have been Zim to tell him this, Zim suggested with a fist. Not matter, I shook my head. Over now. What happened to Gur? Is he okay? Don't worry about him, Zim reassured with a wave of the hand. I tried to lock him into duty mode last night, but for some reason he decided to betray me in that state. Can you believe that? Who would ever want to betray Zim? That's terrible, I said as I followed Zim down to his lab. And he okay now? Yes, he's fine. Zim rolled his eyes. Why are you so concerned with Gur anyway? I shrugged. He all you have when I'm not here. Zim stopped what he was doing when I said this. Yes, he finally agreed over his shoulder at me. I suppose he is. I hate think what you do something happened to him, I went on. I know he not most useful, but he always here for you like I is. Zim sighed and turned to face me. Come here, Liz Wolf, he commanded. I approached on all fours and looked up at the Urkin. I could feel my heart beating in my throat. I tried to say, yes, Alpha, but what came out was a shaking, Alpha? Zim put his hands on his knees and bent down so that his eyes were level with mine. Don't ever turn off your communicator again, he told me in his most serious tone. This time I said it with success. Yes, Alpha Zim. I was worried about you, you know, Zim said with somber as he brushed a strand of hair out of my face with his gloved finger. I not realize, I responded in the same tone. Yes, I thought maybe you'd left again, Zim said with his eyes now avoiding mine. He suddenly stood up straight and started speaking in his normal voice. Anyway, I need your help on an experiment, Liz. Okay? I need you to stand right over there. Zim pointed to an empty corner of the room. On 2 feet, please. I readily obeyed, trotting to the corner and standing on 2 feet to face Zim. Zim picked up a pair of strange-looking goggles and placed them on his face. What that? I asked. I'm using these X-ray goggles to study your anatomy, Zim explained. Very interesting parts you Earth monsters have. Zim knows I don't like to be called human, so he substitutes Earth monster instead. X-ray? I asked. Yes, Zim nodded. I can see right through your clothes. My clothes? I squealed and put my paws over my chest as I hunched back towards the ground. Zim, I thought you were looking at organs or bones. Zim grinned and pushed a button on the side of the goggles. I am now, Liz, but why would I want to look at your organs? I've already collected an organ from every child in our school except for you. I know your organs better than you do. Take those off, I barked angrily. What's wrong? He asked, removing the goggles from his head. Don't you trust Zim? I removed my paws from my chest and approached Zim on all fours again. No, look at me without clothes! I didn't know why this was getting to me so much. I had spent 6 years of my life completely naked. I only wore clothes now because it was basically beaten into me to wear them. Not to mention Zim saw me without clothes when he and Tib came after me in the forest. Zim set down the goggles while still watching me with his eyes. Very well, he said. I stared at him for almost a minute. Both our brows were furrowed, not really knowing what to do with the awkward situation. Then my eyes landed on the goggles behind my friend. I quickly jumped towards them and grabbed them before running to the other end of the room. Hey! Zim shouted after me. What do you think you're doing? I turned and put the goggles over my own eyes. I get even, I told him while staring with a grin. Zim scowled and put his hands on his hips. I saw under his clothes completely. No gloves, no boots, no pants, no shirt thing. Only his pack remained with the goggles. The rest of his body was as green as his head. I didn't see much in the case of genitals. What occupied his crotch looked more like a dark green nipple. I've only seen one set of male human genitals in my life, and I find them disgusting based on that experience. What I saw on the Erkin almost disappointed me. How could one possibly mate with that? I removed the goggles after I'd taken in the sights, and furrowed my brow at Zim. Zim, I asked, how Erkins mate? Zim came over and snatched the goggles from me. He put them back in their case, that he took them from, as he spoke. Erkins haven't mated the way Earthlings do in hundreds of years. Our kind is cloned and grown in a sort of tube thingy. Our so-called sex organs are dormant, but kept intact in case something goes wrong with the cloning machines and we need to resort to the old disgusting ways of breeding. Oh, I said simply when he had finished. So you not have sexual desire? Zim hesitated. No, we don't. I see, I said, looking to the side. Perhaps a mate wasn't the most important thing I could get out of Zim. I would still be by his side no matter what. Even if we couldn't bring each other that sort of pleasure, and I'm quite certain we wouldn't be able to have pups with our very different biology. I suppose Gur will have to be the only pup between the two of us. What did I tell you? I told you it would be juicy, and it was. Very juicy. If you enjoyed this and you want to see much, much more juice coming your way, please don't take that out of context. I'm begging you. If you want to see more juiciness, then I will see you little darlings next time. And remember, keep your crazy.